Going on, everybody? This right here, right? This is storytelling time. I got a story that was created by me and everything. Fictional place. It's about a fictional place called Candyland. And this story is called The Butter Cookie Factory Robbery. This is going to be part one. All right, storytelling time. It was a brisk fall morning in Candyland. Detective Lemonhead was awakened by the telephone at 5 a.m. He looked at the telephone and thought, who could this be? But deep down, he knew who it was. Detective Lemonhead answered the phone in a sleepy voice. Hello? It was Captain Butterfinger, telling them to get to the station immediately. There was a robbery at the Butter Cookie Factory. Now, the Butter Cookie Factory was owned by a local kingpin named Mr. Goodbar. Mr. Goodbar was a career criminal who built an empire of crime that made up a wide variety of thugs who were into all kinds of nefarious activities, from drug running to robberies to extortion. Mr. Goodbar had his right-hand man, a legendary henchman named Jawbreaker. He oversaw a couple of drug spots on Fifth Avenue that sold dimes of pop rocks, but basically, he worked for Mr. Goodbar. After getting the rundown on the crime, Detective Lemonhead threw the covers off himself and sat on the side of the bed to gather his thoughts. After a quick shower and a cup of black coffee, he was ready to hit the streets and get to the bottom of this crime. By 7 a.m., he was on his way to the station. Before he went to the station, he stopped by the diner Twizzlers to get some breakfast. When he walked in, he said hello to Kit Kat. Kit Kat, she was a waitress he had dated a few years ago. He ordered bacon, eggs, and toast with green tea and a bit of honey. He left the diner and proceeded to the station house at 100 Milky Way. Detective Lemonhead sat at his desk about to dig in when he heard Captain Butterfinger call his name. Breakfast will have to wait. Lemonhead walked in his office and sat down at Butterfinger's desk. After getting the complete rundown of the crime, he went back to his desk to continue eating his breakfast, but decided to hit the streets and get to work on the case of the Butter Cookie Factory robbery. Plus, Captain Butterfinger had career aspirations of becoming the mayor of Candyland and wanted the case buried quickly. Lemonhead hit the streets, drove from the station on Milky Way, and took a left onto Fifth Avenue, contemplating where to start. He pulled over to a local gas station ran by a Spanish ex-con named Chico Sticks and filled up the gas tank. Lemonhead asked Chico Sticks, did he know anything about the Butter Cookie Factory robbery? Chico Sticks swore he hadn't heard or had anything to do with that, further saying he was clean since he was released from prison. Lemonhead paid for a pack of cigarettes as well as the gas and left the shop. He pulled out of the gas station and continued north on Fifth Avenue. While driving down the avenue, he spotted Snickers. He was a small-time pimp, full-time drug user who occasionally supplied Lemonhead with information about petty crimes committed. So, he decided to pull over and see what Snickers was up to while he ate his breakfast. Snickers sat in his car and oversaw a couple of prostitutes that he had working for him, Tootsie Rolls and Skittles, getting their money out on Fifth Avenue. He sat and watched until he finished his breakfast. Then he got out of his car and approached Snickers' car, thinking he owed Lemonhead a favor anyway, for the time he threw him a lifesaver when he got caught with some pop rocks a couple weeks ago. When Lemonhead opened Snickers' car door and jumped in his car, Snickers was startled, thinking it was a stick-up until he realized it was Lemonhead. He would have rather seen him than the stick-up boys. "I didn't do anything," Snickers whined. Lemonhead got to the point. "Tell me something good." Snickers began talking immediately, telling Lemonhead about a gang war over territory involving two rival gangs, the Jolly Ranchers and the Sour Patch Kids. Lemonhead wasn't interested in a few young thugs shooting at each other over street corners that they didn't even own. "What do you know about the robbery at the butter cookie factory?" Snickers' face changed. "Oh, I did hear something about that. Other night, I was at the Starburst strip club, and I heard the Three Musketeers talking about it. I didn't pay attention to it too much, because Tootsie Roll and Skittles was working the polls, so I had to pay attention to them." "Okay," Lemonhead replied. "But if I find out you sending me on a wild goose chase, I'm coming back to arrest you. Tootsie Roll and Skittles. Have a good day," he said before he got out of the car. Lemonhead got into his car and headed downtown Candyland in order to check on the Three Musketeers, who socialized at the Hershey Bar. Just as luck, as he pulled up, they were out front of the Hershey Bar conversating with a couple of airheads. Milk Dud, who was the leader of the Three Musketeers. The rest of the gang consisted of a couple of low-life criminals named Reese's and Eminem. Lemonhead pulled up and got out. Reese's and Eminem stood with arrogant demeanors while Milk Dud glared at the detective. "The fuck you want, pig?" Milk Dud said with deep disdain in his voice. Lemonhead's first thought was to smack fire out of Milk Dud and bring him downtown on some trumped-up charges. Instead, he asked about the robbery at the butter cookie factory. Milk Dud wasn't no snitch. In fact, he was a veteran criminal with larceny in his heart and wanted some revenge on Mr. Goodbar for humiliating him and his crew at the Starburst the other night. Mr. Goodbar had Jawbreaker thrown him out of the club for disrespecting the rules of his establishment. Milk Dud began to tell his story. "Your word on the street," Milk Dud began. "Sugar Daddy and Mr. Goodbar had beef because Sugar Daddy swindled Mr. Goodbar out of a $100,000 payday. Now, Sugar Daddy wasn't no slouch in Candyland. He wasn't as large as Mr. Goodbar, but he wasn't small time either. Sugar Daddy had a few illegal establishments like the Crackle Bar, where he operated out of sometimes. It's a legendary story about how back in the days, Sugar Daddy had his ride-or-die chick, Baby Ruth, held up some nerds from out of town for $500,000 and flipped that cash into what he has today. Sugar Daddy ran with a slim, sinister thug named whatchamacallit, who had no problem laying people down with a few bodies to his credit. He was a certified killer. Milk Dud continued on with his story. So Mr. Goodbar sent Jawbreaker over to the Crackle Bar owned by Sugar Daddy to send him a message. Jawbreaker shot up the club and kidnapped Almond Joy, one of Sugar Daddy's ladies, and she was never seen again. The underworld waited for Sugar Daddy to retaliate, which didn't take long. Streets knew Mr. Goodbar was a silent owner in the butter cookie factory. Sugar Daddy firebombed the factory, but the fire department put out the fire before it caused major damage. Needless to say, these two definitely got bad blood between them. Lemonhead walked off without saying another word. He got in his car, lit up a cigarette, and contemplated his next move. He knew in order to ascertain the truth of the situation, he had to speak to all parties involved, and somewhere between all the stories lay the truth. Should he go see Mr. Goodbar or Sugar Daddy? He decided to go over to the Starburst to see Mr. Goodbar. 15 minutes later, he sat in front of the Starburst. He knew Mr. Goodbar was a shrewd criminal. And getting information out of him would be like a walk in the park. Wouldn't be a walk in the park, excuse me. The Starburst was closed when Lemonhead pulled up, but the doors were open. A busboy walked over to him and told them they were closed. Lemonhead flashed his badge and told him, I'm here to speak to Mr. Goodbar. After inspecting the badge and not detecting any fakeness, the busboy walked off to the back to a door. A few minutes later, he came back with a hulking individual, 6'5", 295 pounds of pure muscle. The busboy pointed at Lemonhead. The huge figure walked over to him, and he felt the ground shake with every step. Or maybe it was his imagination. Looking down at Lemonhead, who was blacker than Fifth Avenue at midnight, was Jawbreaker, a dangerous-looking man whose eyes were even darker than him. "Follow me," Jawbreaker said, as he turned around and began walking towards the door he came out of. Lemonhead followed him. That's just part one I'm going to give y'all for right now. If you're interested to find out the chronicles of Candyland and Detective Lemonhead as they go through Candyland to figure out this crime, hit in the comments, part 2. Peace, y'all. See y'all part 2.